Hello guys, welcome to a great new video, and in this new video we are going to configure lots and lots and lots of stuff. So we are going to go over SNMP-v3, TACACS, NTP, also 802.1x or PNAC. We are going to do some Cisco AnyConnect VPN. We are also going to do some remote clientless connection, and then later on we're going to do some site-to-site VPN connection with IPsec and a pre-share key. So we have lots of stuff coming up. We're going to configure also a DNS server over here. So we have a lot of stuff coming on. So that being said, let's go ahead and start with this configuration. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to go to this router over here, this bad boy router. So let's go ahead and show all these interfaces. We want to show the interfaces so we know which one we need to configure, right? Which interface we need to configure. So the first thing that I want to configure, I really want to configure SSH and all that good stuff, TACACS and usernames and all that. So let's start with that, right? Um, so the first thing that I need to do, we gotta go to this router and let's open it up. So in this router, it's a little bit big. Let's go ahead and move it to this side right here. So I'm not going to be explaining a lot on what I'm going to be doing because this is stuff that I explained so already on my other videos. So if you get lost on the commands that I'm doing or what I'm configuring or why I'm configuring, you can always go to my YouTube channel and check my videos on whatever I'm working on. And whenever I'm going fast, I'm going to refer to a video that I have uploaded, so you can go ahead and check that out, okay? So we're going to start with this router over here. Um, so as you can see, Gigabit 00 is going to have this IP address. This one is going to have this IP address. So let's go ahead and start with that. IP address 192.168. Actually, this is 00. So this is IP address of 145.1.1.2. IP address 145.1.1.2. And we're going to give it no shutdown over here. Now let's go ahead to interface Gigabit 01. This one's going to have an IP address of 192.168.1.1 because it's a default gateway. No shutdown. And I also, after that, what I want to do is, since we have configured all the good stuff, um, one thing that we could do, okay, we give it a host name. Let's go ahead and configure a couple of usernames, or just one username. It's going to be Oscar. Privilege is going to be 15, and the secret is going to be Cisco123. Like always, that's the password for everything. So if you want to log into my computer, you can use that password. Psych, that's not my password. Okay, so we have configured my username and password here for a local account. After we do that, what we could do is we could go ahead and set an IP domain name and let's set it to ccdtt.com, which is the name of my website. If we want to go ahead and check it out, I put up a lot of content over there. Go ahead and do that. And then after that, let's go ahead and do a crypto key generate. We want to generate a RSA. And what this is going to do, we have to create this RSA key um, that we want to do, and we're going to do say um, so general keys modulus 20 2048, and I'm making it this big because we're going to configure SSH version 2, um, IPSSH version 2. That's the one that we're going to be using because the minimum um, RSA key size for version 2 is 1024, so we couldn't double it at 2048, right? So that is good. We have configured all that good stuff. So now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create a TACACS. So we're going to configure TACACS first. So we want to create um, a TACACS server. So we want to point to a TACACS server, which is going to be this one over here. And that one is going to have an IP address of 192.168.1.3. So before we can do any of that, let's go ahead and create a AAA new model. Right then we can do TACACS server. And we're going to call this tag serve. That's the name of our TACACS server. The address for this is going to have an IPv4 address of 192.168.1.3, like I said before. Actually, IPv4 over here. Right, so that's good. After that, we need to create a key as well. And the key, um, if you put 0, it's going to be unencrypted. If you put 6, it's going to encrypt the key, 7, and all that good stuff. But what I want to do is I just want to set it to, um, let's see what we're going to name this TACACS key. TACACS key. There it is, exit. And now let's go ahead and create a AAA authentication. And if you don't know how to configure a TACACS server and using the AAA, which is authentication, authorization, and accounting, you can go ahead and check my video on the TACACS server and explain everything I'm going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to authenticate and log in, and we're going to leave it as default. Or actually, if you want, you can just create a, we can call a new, you can call a new login. And then after that, what we need to do is we need to enable it or to point to the TACACS server. And by doing this, what this is going to do is it's going to pick this TACACS server that we created with an IP address of 192.168.1.3. And then we want to add the backup, and the backup is going to be the local username. The username that I created, that was it was Asker, right? And the privilege was 15, and the pattern was Cisco. So what's going to happen is if the TACACS server for some reason goes offline, I'm going to be able to remote in to this router using my local account. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that up. Then after that, you want to do to the line console 0, and you can enable login authentication, and you need to do the new login because that's the one that we created, right? Was a new login. Then after that, I'm thinking we need to do anything else. All of this is good. So now we can go ahead and go to the line VTY. This is for Telnet and all that. And let's go ahead and do login authentication. And we're going to use the new login. And when we set up this one to new login, what I want to do next is that I want to do a transport input all. That means that I want to Telnet and SSH work at the same time. But actually, let's just set up that. Let's just set up to all for now because I don't know if my Windows device is gonna let me do SSH. I think it should. So if it should, then let's just leave it like that for now. All right. Let's go ahead and end it, and let's go ahead and save it. So after we save that bad boy up, what I want to do is I want to go to the TACACS server, and I want to start the TACACS server up. Where is it? Let's see. Let's go to configuration. Okay, Telnet is not supposed to be Telnet, it's supposed to be VSC. I always forget to change that. Actually, let me just go ahead and do it from here. Um, VNC. It needs to use VNC, and the one that I'm going to do is going to be it's called TACACS GUI, and you can download it from the DNS3 store. And let's go ahead and stop it and start it again because I changed the to be a VNC. As you can see over here, we are now connected. And now what's going to happen is we need to log into this TACACS GUI and configure an IP address. And also we need to set up a default gateway or default gateway. Why is it? Let's give it a second so it can start. There you go. The login for this TACACS GUI is going to be the username is going to be root, and the password is going to be 1234. And then after that, we need to configure an IP address of ifconfig ETH0 192.168.1.3 net mask of 255.255.255.0, and then we need to add a route, and this one is going to be a default gateway. It's going to be 192.168.1.1. Now we should be able to ping our router. So as you can see, we are able to ping from the TACACS server. I'm able to ping this router over here. So this is great. That's working the way I wanted it. So this is done. So now from the Windows device that I have over here on my VMware, let's go ahead and configure an IP address of 192.168.1.2. It is already configured, default gateway, and all that good stuff. So that's good. So now let's see from here, I should be able to do a CMD and then ping 192.168.1.1, which is my router and my default gateway. And I also should be able to ping my TACACS server. And since I'm able to ping the TACACS server now, then I should be able to go to this TACACS server, 192.168.1.3. Details is going to give me a certificate error, but that's fine because I know that it is secure. And the login for this is going to be tag GUI, and the password is ABC123, and that's going to get you into this TACACS server, which is really cool how you can log into this TACACS GUI. And like I said before, guys, this one takes a little bit sometimes. Doesn't take that long, but if you go ahead and do a search, um, if you go to GNS3 TACACS GUI, you can download, and there's a lot of videos on how to set it up, but you can just download it from, if you go to Marketplace actually, because from here it won't let you do. I don't know why they haven't fixed it, but from here you can see all the usernames and all that good stuff. Well, yeah, you just go to appliances and you can just go ahead and look for the TACACS GUI. That's the one that you're going to install in your GNS3. Okay, so here we go. We are into this TACACS GUI from the Windows server or from the Windows machine. So now what we need to do is we need to add a device first of all. Um, and before you add a device, you actually need to add a group for that device. So we are going to call this just routers. And the TACACS key is we set up to TACACS key. Um, enable password, let's just set up to Cisco123. That's fine. I don't want it to be encrypted because that was giving me an error before. So let's go ahead and set up a group as default. We can set up a banner if we want to. Please, hackers, stay away. Right? And let's add this device group. And it just takes a little bit because it's a little bit slow. Did I click on that device? Yep, there we go. Sorry, but that name was taken. Okay, that's fine. So as you can see right here, we have a device group. Now let's go ahead and add a device. And the device that we need to add is going to be this router over here with an IP address of 192.168.1.1. Let's give it a second so it can load. There we go. Let's go ahead and add the device. And the device name is the host name, which is R1. The IP address is 192.168.1.1. TACACS key is TACACS key. Enable password Cisco123. Let's just not encrypt it for now. And the prefix is 24. And it's going to be into the router's device group name. That's good. We're not going to add a message or anything like that. Let's go ahead and add the device. There we go, the device has been added. And then after that, what we could do is go ahead to the users and let's create a new user. Let's go ahead and delete this one. That's right here. And after that is deleted, let's add a new one. And we are going to call this admin. The group is going to be just set to the default. The login password for this is going to be Cisco123. Let's just not encrypt it for now. Enable password Cisco123 as well. And let's not encrypt it either. I'm just not encrypting it because it was giving me an error before. So that's how I'm going to leave it. After this, we are going to go to the TACACS configuration, and let's go ahead to the global settings. Let's just stop this bad boy. Okay, it is stopped. Let's apply the changes. It is still loading. Let's give it a couple seconds for that. There we go, done. So configuration was changed. You can test now. Let's go ahead and test this bad boy. Actually, you need to uncheck this right here. Otherwise, it's going to give you a error, I believe. Let's try it again. Detect a fatal error, configuration error, exiting. So it is giving me an error for the keyboard. So I believe this one was set up under devices groups, maybe. Let's go ahead and edit that because it's giving me an error. Edit, message. Let's remove this. Has been edited. Let's go ahead to the TACACS test and apply. Uncheck that test. Here we go. So we were able to test the configuration. So the configuration is now working correctly. Then you can just go ahead and apply. Okay, and then after you apply that, let's go ahead and go to the router. And one way that you can test this without leaving anything, you can do a test AAA. And what we're going to do is we're going to test a group, TACACS group, and the username was admin, and the password was Cisco123. You can just do new code. And as you can see right here, it is working correctly. As you can see, users successfully authenticated. So it is working the way we wanted it. So since we know that this is working, um, one way that we can remote into this is by using another device. And that device that we're going to use is going to be the ASA, because this Windows device does not have PuTTY or anything like that, so we won't be able to connect to this router. So let's go ahead and fire up this ASA, and let's configure a IP address of 145.1.1.1. So if we want to do over here, enable, there's no password, config T, no. Let's give it a host name of ASA1, and then interface gigabit 00, IP address of 192.168, 145.1.1.1.0, and then do a name if. Name if is going to be internet. That's how we're going to name it. After that, do a new no shutdown. And after you do that, let's go ahead and try. Are we able to telnet to 145.1.1.2? Nope, we cannot telnet into it. So from the ASA, we are not able to telnet into it. What if we do it from the switch then? Are we able to do it from the switch, even though we don't have anything configured? Telnet 192.168.1.1. So we're not able to do that. Can we ping 192.168.1.1? Okay, so this is not working either on the switch because we have not configured the VLAN with an IP address. But if we want to, we can configure that VLAN 1. Let's see, config G, interface VLAN 1, IP address of VLAN 1, 192.168.1.4. Now shut down, it's already there. Can we ping now? The ping 192.168.1.1. won't be able to. There we go. We're able to do that. Let's see if we're able now to tone it. 192.168. That one. There we go. As you can see, we're able to tone it, and you can see that the message came up. Please, hackers, stay away. And let's go ahead and log in with the admin and password with Cisco 123. And as you can see, we have logged in now to the router. Enable. And as you can see, error in authentication. And I believe this is because the router, if we go to config T, and let's go ahead and configure a enable password, Cisco 123, end it, save it. Now let's go ahead and exit out of here, exit. Let's go ahead and tone it again, admin, and then after the admin, it should ask you for the password. But as you can see right now, it is working because we got this message that we configure in the TACACS server. I think I did not put the correct password. Cisco 123. There we go. Enable. There we go. Now it is working. There we go. So now we are into the router, as you can see, from the switch that we configure an IP address from the switch. So we were able to log into the router. Now also, let's go ahead and add another username to this TACACS server. So what I want to do is go ahead and add another user so you can see that it is actually working for real, for real. And it takes a little bit to load, but it is working. Let's go ahead and add a new user. This user is going to be admin. Let's call it admin2. The group name, the group name is going to be the default. The login password is called Cisco 123 as well. Cisco 123 as well. And let's just leave the encryption and see if it works now. Let's add this user. User has been created. Admin2. Apply the changes. Let's give it a couple seconds because it is loading right now. There we go. So now it's going to take me over here. Let's uncheck this backup. Test it. It is working correctly. Let's apply the changes. Good. So now let's go ahead and exit out of here. And let's go ahead and telnet back again. And now let's use admin2. Cisco 123. Cisco 123. Let's go ahead and go back to the Windows device. TACACS users. Yeah, admin2. So let's go ahead and edit. Um, edit this. So what I want to do is let's go ahead and change the password to Cisco 123, and let's just not do the encryption. Cisco 123, and let's not do any encryption either, and let's save that user again. Okay, now let's go to apply the changes. That's going to take me back here. Test it. Apply. Okay, done. Let's go ahead and try to turn it again. Admin2, Cisco 123. There we go, and now it is working. And like I said before, that encryption does not work in that TACACS GUI for some reason. But as you can see, it is working. So now one thing that you can test is what happens is this TACACS server goes down. So let's go ahead and see what happens if it goes down. Let's go ahead and try to telnet to it. And there we go. And as you can see, it is different now. It says user access verification. It doesn't say hackers, please hackers stay away. And that is because we are now using the local account. So we need to use Oscar and Cisco 123 because it's the local account. There we go. Cisco 123. Okay, so whenever that TACACS server goes down, then we are able to use local the local account, which is um, the username of Asker and password of 123 or Cisco 123. Okay, so one other thing that we could do um, from here is that we should be able now to configure the ASA. So let's go ahead and configure the ASA, and what we want to do is configure um, the ASA. Let me see something. Directory. Okay, so we don't have that ASDM anymore, but I can get that for the next video. But for now, let's go ahead and configure all the interfaces and all the good stuff. Interface gigabit 0/1, IP address of what the IP address for this one is going to be 172.16.1.1. Name if the name if is going to be the inside because it's going to be the inside network right here. And then let's just do another shutdown. After that, let's go ahead and configure HTTP server. And this HTTP server is going to be for the inside. So if we do, that means that I want any IP address from the inside network to be able to access my HTTP server. And since that is set up, then we are going to be able to launch the ASDM from the inside network. So as you can see right here, this is all done. And now what else can we configure right here? Let's go ahead and configure Ntp. And then after I configure Ntp, I'm going to do the ASDM on another video though. But let's go ahead and go right to the router. And from here, let's go to config T. So what I want to do is I want to do a show. Or actually, not even from here. Let's go ahead and end it and show the clock. As you can see, it is saying that it is Tuesday, June 18. But I know it's not Tuesday because I know it's Monday because I know June 18, that's my mom's birthday. So happy birthday to my mom in advance. So we want to configure this clock and I want to set up this one to be the NTP server. So all the switches and the ASA and all of them use the router so they can get the correct time and date. So let's go to config T, and the first thing that I want to do is I want to set up the clock time zone, and the time zone that I want to set up to is going to be EST. It's going to be -5. After that, there we go. We want to set up the clock set to the time, which is 2046, right? 2046, and then after that, 2046, and you can give it the seconds you want. Let's go ahead and say 20 seconds, and then let's say that it is June 17 of 2019. So it's giving me an error right here. Does this need to be together? Clock set, clock. So it doesn't let me to set the clock. Okay, so to set the clock, we gotta go to the enable over here. So we need to do a clock set. So now it is 20:47 and 20 seconds again. That's fine. And then it is June 17 of 2019. There we go. So we cannot do it from the configuration mode. We got to do from the enable mode. So then after that, I want to set up this to be the Mtp master 1. And then we're going to set up some security measures, which is Ntp Max Association. So this is going to be the maximum of devices that should be able to get this, connected to the Ntp server. So I want to 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. So let's go ahead and say that is 5 devices are going to be connected to my router, or that are going to request time from to this router. And then after that, we can do an NTP source. It's going to be gigabit Ethernet. And from here, we need to set up and say that gigabit interface 0/0. That's going to be the source, and also 0/1 is going to be the source. So from gigabit 0/0, they're going to request the time, and also from gigabit 0/1 is going to request the time. And that means that if somebody from gigabit 0/2 is requesting time, it's going to deny it. Okay, so these two interfaces are the only two that are allowed to send requests to. Okay, and then after that, we need to turn on Ntp Authenticate. So that means that we're going to turn on the Ntp authentication mode. And then after that, we need to set up an Ntp authentication key. And the key is going to be an MD5 key, right? Actually, we need to give the key number, and then we can do MD5. And then after that, we can just set up the key, which is going to be Ntp key. All right, and then after that, the Ntp trusted key is going to be the key one, and only the key one only. That's going to be the only one that's going to be able to authenticate any other devices. So after that, we need to set up an Ntp peer, and the Ntp peer that we want to set up for now is 145, that one, which is the ASA. Or actually, let's just go ahead and do 192.168.1.4, which is the switch, right? And I forgot to say that it's going to be using key one. So then we can just exit, save it, and now you can do a show clock, and that should tell you what time, the time that we set up. So now from the switch, let's go ahead and config T. Let's give it a host name of switch 4. And then from here, let's go ahead and set up Ntp. And we're going to say that we are going to connect to the Ntp server, which is at 192.168.1.1, which is this right over here. And then after that, we want to do an Ntp authenticate. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And then Ntp authentication key 1 using MD5 is going to be Ntp key. This one needs to match to the router itself. Ntp key, great. And then after that, let's see, do show clock. And this one still says June 18 of 2019. So for some reason, it is not working. Let's go and show clock. It is still showing that. Let's go ahead to config T. Let's go Ntp. And from the Ntp, we can do source. Actually, let's just do a question mark and then let's see what else we can do. So it's not going to be as a master distance. Let's go ahead and say source. Gigabit, which one is this connected to? Gigabit 0/0. Do show clock. Still saying June 18. Let's go ahead and go to the router. Config T, Ntp master, strat to number 1, and save it. And save it. Show clock. I don't think it's still going to show June 18. So we're not getting that we are not getting that stuff. So let's go ahead and go from the router config T. Let's do an Ntp authentication, authentication key one. It does MD5. So for some reason MD5. So that's good. Let's see if there's anything that I'm missing. Yeah, I'm not missing anything. I don't know why it's not working, but it is not working for some reason. If I'm missing something, please go ahead and leave me a comment on the description below. But what I'm going to do is on the next video, we are going to configure a ASA, a VPN, a remote VPN with a Cisco client. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next video, guys. Bye bye.